Do avoidants ever know that they are an avoidant? The answer is most of the time, no. Fearful avoidants are far more likely to be self-aware and at least know that they have triggers that can be self-sabotaging in a relationship. Dismissive avoidants, on the other hand, and fearful avoidants that lean heavily dismissive, for the most part, have no clue that their attachment wounds are what sabotage relationships. There are a few that are self-aware to a certain degree, but most have no clue whatsoever. And this is because of the things that they tell themselves and the ways that they avoid internal accountability and self-reflection. This is a person that was on the receiving end of consistent childhood emotional neglect. Their emotional needs weren't met. They weren't given that love and nurturing that they needed as a child. Their emotions were also dismissed and rejected. They weren't able to really express themselves as a kid. The thing is, they personalize that neglect, growing up to feel defective and unlovable, like there's something wrong with them. This wound of defectiveness is a wound of shame. And shame is a powerful, toxic emotion. And shame is what drives dismissive avoidant attachment. That's why they keep their partner at an emotional distance, because their subconscious fear is, if I let my partner in and I let my walls down, my partner is going to figure out that I'm defective and I'm going to get rejected. But this is also why they lack self-awareness, that wound of shame. Self-reflection is required for emotional growth, meaning processing emotions, not suppressing them, and taking accountability, saying, hey, I did this wrong. This is how I can do better. Ooh, I made this mistake. This is how I can learn and grow. That's how we grow as people, by self-reflecting and taking accountability. But in the mind of a dismissive avoidant, especially a severe one, that accountability is too painful because it confirms their own perceived defectiveness. See, in their mind, it's, I did this wrong. Look, it's proof I'm defective. It's proof I'm worthless. It's too painful. So what they do almost instinctively is they project the responsibility of their behaviors and their insecurities onto other people and other things. So that way it becomes somebody else's fault. For example, when they get triggered in a great relationship and feel the sudden urge to run away, they find fault in their partner. Oh, it's because this person's too needy, or this person they're just too demanding, or they like Italian food and I don't like Italian food. But they find something to pin on the other person, because if it's the other person's fault, well, they don't have to self-reflect and they don't have to take accountability, which means they get to avoid confronting that inner wound of shame. Their entire attachment style is driven around avoiding that wound of shame. So they instinctively protect themselves and shield themselves from that shame. They avoid the shame by making their insecurities and behaviors somebody else's fault. So because of this, they don't learn and grow when it comes to relationship failures. They tend to repeat the same pattern over and over again. And every time they feel the urge to exit a relationship, they'll tell themselves something along the lines of, when I meet the right person, I won't feel this way. It must be because they're the wrong person. When the right person comes along, I won't feel the need to push them away. They generally are aware that they have a tendency to push people away, especially between the 4 to 8 month mark. But because of their lack of self-reflection and accountability, they consistently think that it's the other person's fault. And they'll tell themselves stuff like, why can't I just meet the right person? Why can't I find the person that's right for me? Not being aware to any extent that the problem is actually them. That the problem is that they get triggered and they're not able to do healthy relationships. That normal relationship behaviors like emotional intimacy, communication, commitment, meeting expectations, holding boundaries, respecting boundaries, all those things are very triggering to them. So what ends up happening is you have a person that goes from one failed relationship to another, not understanding the commonality, them, not understanding why these relationships failed, not learning any lessons from each failed relationship. So they do lack self-awareness. And in most cases, when they do have any degree of self-awareness, meaning I usually end relationships around 6 months, It's a very surface level self-awareness because digging deep is very painful and very difficult for them. And it almost becomes instinctive for them to avoid that self-reflection, avoid facing that inner shame. So until they actually get to the point where they are completely willing to face and heal that inner shame and learn a different pattern of behaviors when they're triggered, the cycle continues. Failed relationship after failed relationship. Now, this is also why they can lack empathy for their partner when they do things to push their partner away or hurt their partner. Because they're blaming the other person. They are pinning the blame on the other person. And they're not really able to connect with the emotions of the other person because this is a person that is solely focused on self-soothing themselves, feeling better about themselves and soothing that wound of shame. So because they're so self-focused and trying to make themselves feel good so they don't have to feel that shame, it is really hard for them to actually access empathy for the other person, especially when the avoidant is triggered. It really all goes hand in hand. So you have a person that really does lack a degree of self-awareness, and in some cases, a profound degree of self-awareness that they are lacking. It results in emotional immaturity. It's impossible to grow emotionally and be emotionally mature when you don't self-reflect, when you don't take accountability, and you don't take the initiative to do different things and to learn different skills.